sitting at your job, daydreaming about the life that you would have if you'd won that big jackpot? Do you want to design a life for yourself that you don't need to take a vacation from? Do you have a vision for your life that you just don't know how to make a reality? Next Exit Your Destiny is a witty, comical, yet straightforward guide that gives you common sense, easy to follow steps to make the life you dream of, the life that you live. Get off of Unfulfilled Street, Unhappy Way, and Sunday Night Blues Boulevard and take the next exit towards your destiny today.
Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Ebony Potts. I am the author of Next Exit Your Destiny, Taking the Road Towards the Life of Your Dreams. And I am the host of this channel, which is called Dream Building 101. On this channel, we interview people from all different walks of life to give you examples, concrete examples to follow with the book, but of individuals who are walking the walk and talking the talk, and building the life that they dream of on their own individualized path. If you like what you see here today, go ahead and make sure you click the subscribe, like button and share this video. But today I am so happy to be able to interview my friend. His name is Marcus Williams. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well, doing well. I know Mr. Williams. I met him a long time ago through a girlfriend of mine that we both worked at in the school system in Georgia. And I have been fortunate enough to kind of watch his path as he has become a premier architect. But I'm going to let him talk more about what he does and what his titles are. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people what you do, what's your job title, and a bit about yourself.
Currently, I work for engineering company and I serve as a program director, and the program that we manage is the for the local school system here. So the East Baton Rouge Parish school system, we manage their capital program. So basically any renovation or new construction project that they're doing with sales tax money, they have to plan it out. We help them identify where the needs are in each community, and then identify how much those projects should cost, what's involved in those projects, and we help facilitate getting those projects designed, where we help hire local architects, and we help facilitate the bidding process in order to get a contractor. So we're basically the trusted advisor of the public entity in order to do multi-million-dollar design and construction projects. And then secondarily, but more importantly, I'm transitioning into having my own firm. So I'm going through the transition process of opening a full-service architectural firm where I serve as the managing partner and as of now, the only full-time employee. So I wear two hats, and I do both of that with Williams Architecture. We're going to be a small firm initially starting off, but we're going to do big projects. I've gotten disaster work from Hurricane Laura, and also, some educational work.
Well, that was certainly a mouthful. And like I said, I've known Mr. Williams for quite some time. I remember when Mr. Williams was taking his test to go ahead and pass all of the different levels. And can you speak a little bit to that as to what that entails? If someone wants to be an architect, what is it that they need to do?
Yeah, I think first off, you can't be a quitter, and you can't accept failure and let failure be the thing to drive you. It's a very rigorous educational program. You first have to go to an accredited university with the School of Architecture. So you're going to have to likely go to a 5-year degree program. You had to do a certain number of hours with a licensed architect, to work for a licensed architect. And it was the equivalent of about 3 years of just working for another architect. Once you do that, then you're eligible to start taking the test. The test has morphed over the years, but for me, it was a 7-part test. Each test had its own challenges. And what it does, and what the schooling and the test does, is prepare you for real life. And you are going to fail some tests. Very few people go through and pass all 7. So you could do that. It takes about, it probably took me about a month to study for a test. If you fail the test at the time, you had to wait 6 months to retake it. They later reduced that to 3 months. I don't know what it is now, but it's a process. Once you take the test and learn that failing is okay and learn from that failing, you become much better. That's sort of the struggle that I had. I thought I was pretty bright, but the test doesn't it's not a measure of knowledge. It's not a measure of studying the material that is out there. It's a test of being a critical thinker. And so once you switch to that, then personal experience, I probably failed the first 3 tests that I took. And my wife Brandy was saying, you just need to take another one. It doesn't matter, just keep on going. And I was so broken and worried about those tests and thinking that what I thought I was not it. And so I had to do a little reconnecting with myself and thinking about it. And once I did that, I passed 5 in a row. And then I failed 1, took that again, and then passed the last one. And so it went rather quickly. So that's the certification process. Once you do that, you get those hours, those 300 hours, certified by the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards. And then you once you finish the test, then you become a licensed architect in the state in which you want to practice.
Okay, so did you grow up, and I know a little bit about your background story, mm-hmm. but people that you're speaking with do not. So did you grow up thinking that you wanted to be an architect? What was your career path kind of like before you reached the point where you were going to LSU for architecture? How did you arrive there?
I have to give a lot of credit to God. I didn't have a lot of guidance counselor help. When I was in high school, I was, an honor roll student, always been that way, but I wasn't necessarily pushed to be a straight A student. I was, my parents were just happy that I was on the honor roll, and they didn't go to college. So my mom and dad didn't know about studying these schools within the college and trying to figure out where your talents and interests lie. But my dad was a mechanic. He did some construction work, and so I just absorbed a lot of the stuff that he was doing at home as a mechanic. I would always help him. So putting together stuff, figuring stuff out, building stuff, was just something that I learned to do. I did always like to draw. I would draw all the time. I just remember that, but I didn't know what an architect did. Honestly, when it came down to it, I graduated and, I started looking at colleges. Well, LSU was about 15 minutes away from my parents' house. I said, well, we don't have much money. That's easy. If I get a car or I can use their car, I can go to school. I don't have to go out of town and try to have another burden. And I said, okay, well, if I go to LSU, what am I going to major in? I don't like to read a lot, so law is probably out of the question, and medicine. I don't have that attention span to sit and read things for hours. I do know it would be sort of artistic and technical because of the experiences that I had just with my dad and the things that I like to do. So I said, okay, in art, I know I'm not going to be an artist because I'm not that abstract. And then they said, okay, well, is it engineering? Well, engineering, I could do the math, but I don't want to do the math like that, And then I started looking at the curriculum. I said, this architect thing, okay, there may be something there. And so that's how it led to that. And it was just a natural connection where you can be expressive. You do get to express your your artistic side, and you do get to do engineering. It was a good fit, and it was a natural thing. But I do give a lot of credit, mostly credit, to God for giving, me some guidance when there was no guidance, just because of, the lack of collegiate experience from my parents.
Well, that's definitely a blessing that you were able to, blaze your own path without having those mentors and people around you to kind of, you obviously had your parents that were giving you guidance and giving you some inspiration, but to not have those examples and still be able to reach some of the success that you've reached is great. And you definitely are blessed to be able to have that as your story. Tell us about a challenge you faced on your path, turn back moment, if you will, that you've had, and how did you overcome it? I know that you, as an individual, a Black man in Louisiana who is an architect, face unique challenges. How about you speak to us about that, and how did you overcome those experiences? What did you learn, and what do you wish that you knew before you started along your path?
One of my favorite stories that I like to tell is, it came when I was in probably my second or third year of architecture school. And, with kids today, it's important to make them aware of everything. But if you don't know yourself, it's very difficult to explain that to a kid. And so, along this path, it was in my third year. And, okay, I'm looking around and there are other students in my class that have had internships, and they worked for local architects doing, little stuff that they could do, but they had started gaining those hours, and out of those 300 hours, you could start gaining those hours in your third of your 5 years. So that would lessen your time to start testing once you got out. One of my friends in class said, man, the guy I work for is looking for another intern. I said, really? Okay. I'll go, I'll give him a call. He said, yeah, give him a call. He's looking for somebody. I already told him about you. And so, I'm in design studio, and, I'm in design studio at school. I'm dressed similar to how I am now. And I call him, and he says, yeah, I need somebody to come in and work. And I said, okay. He says, can you come today? I said, yeah. I said, I'll come as soon as I leave. And he said, okay, well, I'll see you then. So excited, call and tell my parents. I leave my design studio, which gets out, it's 12:30 to 4:30, 3 times a week. I get out, I go to this guy's office. He shows me around. We talk. He says, man, you're really impressive. I'll get back to you. I said, all right. Well, week goes by, I don't hear back from him. Another week goes by, I don't hear back from him. I ask my friends, and you hear anything? And he says, no, I hadn't heard anything. Why don't you follow up and see what's up? Just give him a call. So I call the guy, and he says, man, I really enjoyed you coming in. I liked what I saw from you. I think you're very bright. You're going to be very successful, but you didn't really come dressed professional for the interview. So I can't have that type of person working for me just because.
Wow.
And then I was like, wait, you told me to come after school. You think I'm dressed in a suit at school? I mean, you were in school. And so what I learned from that is the first impression is very important to people, especially here in the South, where you have African-American who's in a white male predominantly dominated field. One, your family and your mentors mean a lot, and what they have. So now, if my son comes to me and says, Dad, I got an interview, they want me to come in today, I would say, tell me you'll come in tomorrow. That same opportunity would be there tomorrow, but that gives you the opportunity to go home, get your stuff together, get your resume together, be dressed already. I was just so excited at the opportunity. My parents didn't know to tell me that. I wear a bow tie almost every day. And that bow tie is a statement, but it's also thing to that experience I had. Most people, when they see me, they think, oh, this guy's just trying to. But when I got the management job that I have now, where I'm interacting with a client that's giving us $400 million to manage, and they're paying us 4% of that. And also what I've learned is that because of that first impression and that appearance, that influences how people hear you and they understand what you're going to tell them. So if they're already turned off, I want to say the content out of, if you were to take a pie and talk about an interaction with a person, the pie of how this thing is broken out, the first impression is probably 50-something% of just visual and if they like you. The content, I believe, is only 17 to 20%. So, I don't know who the crowd's going to be, but, if you look at the president, right, the content is not there. Nobody cares about the content. If a lot of people like him, then a lot of people are going to vote for him. That's how it is in politics. That's how it is in business. People worry about what you can do after that. And so that's the lesson that I learned with that. And also interacting with other design professionals, engineers, and contractors who are much older than me and who've been doing this a lot longer than me. It's a lot different when I go dressed like this than when I go in a suit and bow tie. And they're like, okay, I know this guy knows what he's talking about, so I'm not even going to try this other stuff that I would have tried. On top of that, he's black, And so that's the lesson that I learned. And that's the lesson that when I do volunteer work, when I'm speaking with youth, and I share that story all the time. That's my favorite story that I share, and I share it. I've never talked to that architect since. I will tell you that if he applied for a job, I probably would tell him and then not hire him. But I have not crossed the path of the architect, and he probably doesn't even know the impact that he has in my success, and also the impact that because of that success, what that turnaround impact has been on the community and youth.
Well, you definitely talk about those soft skills. Soft skills are something that's very, very important for everyone. It's one thing to have the book knowledge, but to be able to interact, and that's a challenge, I think, for a lot of first generation people in general. My parents did not graduate with a 4-year degree. My father has an associate's degree in accounting, and my mom has a certificate from a business school. So a lot of those soft skill things are things that I've had to pick up. I've had some people that have kind of dropped hints about certain things that I should or shouldn't do. And some of it I've learned by observation about missed opportunities. Oh, okay, well, why did they choose this person? Or why has this person progressed? Networking is another thing that I've had to learn. Was not, again, the soft skill I was not taught, but it's impacted how I interact and teach my children. So, those are very important. And first impressions definitely are huge, especially when you are living in a society where at times you are not necessarily taken seriously because of what you look like or where you're from or your dialect or any of that. So very, very important. What is it that you love about what you do? You spoke about the fact that you get to be artistic. My son actually is taking a class right now. He's taking kind of like a technology class, and he actually gets to play on a program called Tinkercad, which I never heard of. I know what CAD is, but he loves doing that. He loves playing on Tinkercad because he likes to draw, and he has he likes to draw, and he is somewhat good with math. But again, what are some things that you like about your job besides, obviously we talked about the artistry, and what are some of the challenges? What are the things that are more challenging about what it is that you do?
So in the program management field, when I talk about that hat, the things that I like are how you see the direct impact of what you're doing, and you get that "I told you so" moment every time. You go through this community, and even sometimes the principal and the school system even are saying, "No, we're not going to do this. We don't need to spend this money on this thing," or that costs too much. And as the professional, as the program manager who is also a design professional, you have a little more insight and you can influence them and tell them, I think you should do this. I'm your advisor. I think we can pay for it. And the most satisfying thing is going through that process, seeing the user and the client get disappointed. And then on the first day of school, everybody's like, we love this. We knew it was going to be like this. This is great. We could have never lived without this. And I always go to the principal and say, I told you it was going to be great. Look at these kids. It affects the kids. I guarantee you, teaching in this facility or whatever we did, even if it's an improvement, it doesn't have to be a new facility, seeing the impact that on the user and the teachers, and all the teachers are saying, wow, I didn't know that this was cool to do until I had an opportunity to do it. So to me, that's the satisfying thing of seeing the impact. And even on the architectural side, it's, you might go and meet with a client and they may have a handful of descriptions of a handful of things that they want, and having that ability to ask questions that they aren't thinking of that mean anything, and then developing what you understand them to want, and them to see it, and them saying, that's it. I gave you 5 things and you came up with that. How do you do that? That's the thing that it does validate, and it does solidify your place when that happens, because it's a natural talent that you have to learn in order to be successful. And so seeing the effect on the user, whether it be program management, where you're managing their need and getting something designed and built for them and being their representative and doing that. So they can't talk to the architects and contractors on the program. I do that. So I go meet with the principal, meet with the superintendent, meet with all the curriculum people. I find out, I learn stuff about gifted and talented and magnet and all this stuff that doesn't mean anything to me. And I understand, and I learned about second language, English second language speakers and special needs kids and all this stuff. And I understand all of that. And then, then I deliver to them something that facilitates that. It facilitates the user. And then on the opposites, on the architectural side, is taking those ideas and those understandings from the client, and then actually putting it on paper and designing and coming up with something that couldn't be described with the information that they gave me.
That's awesome. So you're kind of like a translator almost.
It
you
is.
Kind of stand in the gap.
I tell people all the time, people always say, I'm gonna give you my sketch. It's probably not good like you think. I'm like, no, I want your sketch, because now I can understand. I can understand anybody's sketch in the world. You can show me a sketch and I say, oh, so this is what you want right here. And they're like, yeah, how'd you know that? Like, well, I mean, that's my job. I just know, right. I know how to interpret expressions from people.
That's definitely a learned skill, definitely. So what is the most challenging aspect of what you do?
The most challenging aspect, as a program manager, the most challenging aspect was the public speaking. Like we talked about, the soft skills. As a technical person, out of technical people, architects have to be the most social, because we're interacting with the client. We're interacting, if the neighbor is mad or the neighborhood's mad, then we're the ones that have to go and explain the technical stuff that the more technical people who are not social, the engineers, structural, mechanical, electrical, civil, you don't want those folks interacting, because the delivery is going to be messed up and you're not going to be successful in your, so the challenges are the interactions with the client and the public. And if you aren't, I had trouble with that, being on this camera. If you were to ask me to do this 5 years ago, I would come up with the excuse to say, I can't do it, or I have my camera off, or or I want something written. But this job, the path that I've taken with my career and the job that I'm leaving from forced me to do that. You got to do community meetings. You got to do board meetings on TV where they ask you questions that you don't know are coming, and you may not know the answer to. And they ask you very difficult questions. So I had to go understand where I was lacking, understand what needed to happen. And I researched, and I took classes on personal branding and public speaking. Public speaking was probably the most feared thing that I had to go through. Architects in general normally don't speak in front of big crowds. You're speaking with the people who have the money and make the decisions. So you're speaking with a few people. You can be shy all you want, they probably would never notice because you're talking about something that they don't understand. So they're the ones that are uncomfortable. Where when you have to do something more broad, then they're saying, okay, well, you're the guy that's a professional. So this group of 300 people who are mad, we're going to let you describe it and answer the questions that they have. So that was the challenge.
That's definitely a challenge. You're an introvert and I am an introvert as well. So, it's a challenge. My job previously is being an administrator, assistant principal, a principal, to be able to answer questions and interact with people in a way in which, if I was to tell them and I was an introvert, they go, really? The people that are closest to me know how difficult it is, but your job can pull and your career path can pull things out of you, and you have to learn. You have to learn some of those skills, and the politics. Once you reach upper management level in almost any type of job, politics enters in, and you have to learn how to manage that. So that definitely can be a challenge in many fields. If you could tell someone or talk to someone out there who is just getting on their path to fulfillment, whatever that path may be, what would you tell them, and how would you steer that person towards being successful on their path?
I would tell them to not try to predetermine the path. I would tell them to determine a direction and just let it fly. You're going to be successful regardless because you have the ability to think about it. And so having the ability to think about it opens a lot of doors for you. I would recommend people to not be afraid to fail. To me, you follow me on social media, I always say I'm undefeated because it doesn't matter if I lose, if I miss a fish here, then guess what? I got a chance to go fishing today. So I still won. I got a chance to go experience, what you experience when you go fishing, and it brought me joy. Catching fish is a byproduct of going fishing. So if you are only going to fish to catch fish, then you're going to be disappointed on a lot of days because you can't control when you catch the fish like you think you can control. If you know how to fish, you're gonna have a lot of days where you don't catch fish. And if you're worried about the actual product of failing, then you're going to be disappointed instead of being more excited about what you're doing. So the process is important, and you learn from the process. So failing is something that you have to embrace. I'm not saying you have to be cool with failing. My competitiveness is super high. I don't like to lose at anything. But when I lose, it makes me get a lot better at trying not to lose.
That's very true. Everyone has failed at something. No matter what it is that you're doing, no matter what your goal is, you're going to fail. Even if you don't fail initially, you're going to fail once you start to step into the next level, because there's levels to everything. So, just like if you're going to go play basketball and you're really great at dribbling, there's maybe you need to work on your shot, or you need to, work on a particular area of the court where you're not really great at picking up, or you're, working on your left side or your right side. There's always areas where you can improve. And until you fail at something, you don't know that you need to improve at that. So, failure is definitely a part of the path, and not being afraid of it and using that to motivate you is something that anyone who is going to be successful at anything has to do. So that's great advice. Anything else you want to add, or any questions for me?
No, I think this is I appreciate being selected. I appreciate you asking me to come on. Hopefully, I can be of assistance further if you need me. I mean, I'm more than willing to do this. As you can tell, I like talking about my story because I'm 38, and it's just in the last 3 years where everything has started to come and realign. And so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share that, and then share it with, you know, the audience that views this video. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing. I think a lot more people should do what you're doing. But yeah, hopefully I've been able to impact your audience in some way. And if anybody wants any other follow up or feedback, then, you know, I don't mind them reaching out and shooting me an email or something if they did want to connect, because I'm always open to helping.
Well, definitely appreciate it. You know, representation matters. I know people hear that and they think it's just cliche. But seeing people that look like you in positions that perhaps, depending on where you come from, you may not think is possible is important. Where can anyone who is watching get in contact with you? What's the web address, Instagram, you know, your business, your website? Because you spoke about the fact that you are starting your own firm, which I'm very proud of you. Can't wait to see your success that I know is coming. But how do people get in contact with you if they would like to do that?
My email address is marcus@williams-arch.com. My Instagram is at Williams Architecture LLC. I do have a company Facebook page too by the same name, Williams Architecture LLC. Or, you know, those are probably the easiest ways to contact me.
Awesome. We'll make sure that we put all of that information in the comments, and I wish you continued success. I know that, you know, 2021 is going to be awesome for you, and I cannot wait to see what your firm does. And, you know, it is going to be a blessing to you as well as your family and your community. So kudos to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you guys like what you see, please go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you're interested in picking up a copy of Next Exit Your Destiny, the information is in the comment box. But again, thank you, Mr. Williams. I appreciate you. And I hope that everyone out there is getting on their path, learning about their path, and walking in what it is that God has for you. Thank you very much, everybody. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.